how private companies and the government address solar power. Origins of proposal. Personal interest. Because of my curiosity and the excess amount of advertising, solar power swiftly caught my attention. Prior research about other renewable energy sources sparked my interest in solar power. In the past, I have created other essays about wind energy. In the bottom right corner, CQ Researcher is a website I use to find an article about this topic. Originally, it was just about energy and the need for more renewables, but I decided to focus on solar power because it was the most accessible. The global need. The United States is one of the highest emission rates of CO2, carbon dioxide, in the world. Humans need alternatives to combat climate change and our dependence on gas, oil, and even coal. My audience: American citizens who can afford solar power. These is my main audience because the more people that individually choose solar power, the more people will have solar panels. My next audience is governing officials that create laws and incentives for solar power. These same officials can regulate the accessibility of solar power. On the right is an image of former and current President Donald Trump. He has placed tariffs on solar power, and it has made solar power more expensive and less accessible than it was. My research. My first article was about federal incentives for commercialized solar power. Next, I found 2 science articles that give me a better perspective about different nations' impacts and if they use solar power. I learned about the economics of solar power. I learned about the economics of solar power in the United States, India, Germany, and China. China is currently one of the largest producers of CO2 in the world. While they are trying to use nuclear energy to balance their CO2 emissions, the United States is using other resources in addition, such as solar power, wind energy, and hydroelectric. I learned about the economics of solar power and how the United States can become almost completely dependent on solar power while using electricity. Lastly, I learned about the most common problems and setbacks for solar power. I felt like I needed to learn about the problems in order to fix them. Why solar power is the best of any other renewable energy. Even with inflation and the rise of tariffs, solar power remains the cheapest and most accessible renewable energy source. Although the price has gone up, it is still the cheapest. Solar power is one of the safest renewable energy sources. Unlike nuclear and hydroelectric, solar is widely considered accessible to average citizens. Nuclear and hydroelectric power can become a hazard when not regulated. Solar power is one of the most efficient energy sources because it has already been improved and tested for hundreds of years. The first solar cell was created in the 1800s, and since then, we have revolutionized the solar cell and created it into solar systems and even farms. This is a quote by Thomas Edison, the creator of the light bulb and other electricity sources. I'd put my money on the sun and solar energy. What a source of power! I hope we don't have to wait until oil and coal run out before we tackle that. Why choose solar as a consumer? Solar power can thrive in almost any environment. The sun is all around the world and can be used during daylight. This means that almost anybody can use solar power. Solar power does not need regular maintenance. After installing, it is rare that someone would need to fix or repair the panels. The average household can use solar panels to receive tax breaks, lower electricity bills, and have an independent solar system attached to their house. Solar power is often cheaper than most people think because of the many incentives that come with solar energy. Because an independent solar system is attached to a person's house, this can also create an incentive for new home buyers of that house. Solar power does not release any carbon dioxide and is completely renewable. Over a 25 to 30-year lifespan, systems often pay back 2 to 3 times their cost. After 10 years, solar systems usually pay back themselves completely. This means that after the 10-year period, electricity for your house is relatively free. My course of action: with private companies who continuously spread information to the public, these companies are doing well at their job. The more that people know about solar energy, the better the stability will be. Governing officials need to strive to create a more stable grid by voting on acts or bills and cooperating with private companies. If private companies and governing officials do not collaborate, then nothing will be accomplished. American citizens should also carefully consider if solar power is the right option for themselves. Americans need to vote for governing candidates that care about renewable energy. Thank you for your time. That was my presentation.